Reactivity is usually treated as a problem, something to control, something to eliminate, something to outgrow. But that framing misses something critical. Reactivity is not random noise. It is signal. Every trigger is specific, not to the situation, but to what the system believes is at risk. No reaction exists without a priority, something the nervous system has marked as essential. When a trigger appears, the system does not ask, "Is this true?" It asks, "Could this cost me something?" Cost is the key. Loss of safety, loss of control, loss of approval, loss of stability, loss of identity. Reactivity erupts when one of these feels threatened. That's why reactions feel personal, because they are tied to what once mattered for survival, even if it no longer does. The intensity of a reaction is not about the present moment. It's about the importance of the past lesson. If the system learned speaking up leads to rejection, then silence becomes protection. If it learned conflict leads to abandonment, then appeasement becomes safety. These strategies are not choices. They are adaptations. Reactivity is what remains when adaptation is no longer questioned. It's an old solution applied to a new context. That's why awareness alone can feel destabilizing. You're not just noticing reactions, you're threatening the protection system. The system tightens. It intensifies emotion. It speeds up thought. It demands action. Anything to keep its role. This is why trying to stay calm fails. Calm feels unsafe to a system built around defense. Defense needs urgency. So the question isn't, how do I stop reacting? The real question is, what does this reaction believe it's preventing? Embarrassment? Rejection? Powerlessness? Being unseen? Until that answer is clear, the reaction will repeat. Because protection without awareness has only one tool: reactivity. In the next part, we'll look at how to read reactions, not as failures, but as maps. If this perspective resonates, like the video. Subscribe if you want more. No pressure, just awareness. Triggers don't just activate reactions. They expose structure. Every trigger follows a path, not randomly, but precisely. The same words, the same tone, the same dynamic. Different people, same internal collapse. That consistency is information. It means something underneath is being touched every time. Triggers cluster around themes: being ignored, being corrected, being rushed, being compared. These themes are not accidents. They point to where safety was learned and where it was lost. The body remembers conditions, not narratives. It remembers what led to relief, what led to pain. So when a present moment resembles a past condition, the system responds. This is why triggers feel disproportionate. The stimulus is small. The response is not. Because the reaction is not to now, it's to then. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means the system is consistent. Consistency is not a flaw, it's a map. If you trace your triggers carefully, you'll notice repetition. The same emotional surge, the same urge, the same outcome. That repetition reveals design, and design implies purpose. The system is organized around preventing something specific, not discomfort, loss. Loss of voice, loss of control, loss of connection, loss of dignity. Once you see the pattern, you stop arguing with the reaction. You start listening to it. Not to obey, but to understand. In the next part, we look at how understanding, without forcing change, begins to soften the system itself. If this helped you notice something about your own mind, consider liking the video and subscribing. More of this is coming. Most people try to change reactivity at the level of behavior. They manage tone, they suppress expression, they control words. But reactivity doesn't originate at the level of behavior. It originates at the level of meaning. What the system believes is happening matters more than what is actually happening, because belief determines urgency, and urgency determines reaction, not logic, not intention. This is why forcing calm rarely works. You're asking a defensive system to stand down without addressing the threat it perceives. From the system's perspective, that feels reckless, almost dangerous. So it resists. It tightens emotion, sharpens thought, accelerates impulse, anything to regain control. Understanding changes this dynamic because it speaks the system's language. Not reassurance, recognition. When a reaction is met with curiosity instead of judgment, the system pauses. Not because it feels safe yet, but because it feels seen. Protection systems escalate when they're ignored. They soften when they're acknowledged. This is subtle but critical. You don't need to convince the system that it's wrong. You need to show it that you understand what it's trying to prevent. That understanding sounds like this. Of course you reacted. That once mattered. Not agreement, not surrender. Context. Context reduces urgency. Urgency fuels reactivity. When urgency drops, the pathway loosens, the reaction slows, the sequence stretches. And inside that stretch, something appears. Choice. Not dramatic choice, not perfect choice. A small one. A breath before speaking, a pause before defending, a moment before withdrawing. That moment is everything. Because that moment is unfamiliar to the system. It has no memory for it. And without memory, the system cannot predict. Prediction is the fuel of reactivity. Interrupt prediction, and the reaction weakens. This is how change happens without force. The system learns something new is possible. Not because you told it, but because you showed it through experience. You stayed present when it expected withdrawal. You delayed response when it expected defense. You remained visible when it expected hiding. Each time this happens, the system updates its map. Slowly. Reactivity doesn't disappear, it transforms. From command into suggestion. You still feel the surge, but it no longer decides. This is what integration looks like. Not emotional control, not emotional suppression. Emotional literacy. You learn to read the signal without obeying the alarm. And when the system realizes it no longer needs to shout, it quiets itself. Protection becomes guidance. Reaction becomes information. This is the final shift. You stop trying to defeat reactivity and start understanding what it was built to protect. That's when the system lets go. Not all at once, but for good.